No, the Penn State guy, the NCAA guy. And by the way, to show you how out of it I am, I didn't know till this thing all came up. The NCAA had left Kansas City. I thought they were in Overland Park. Well, they used to be there back when I lived in Kansas City. But now everything, I guess, happens out of Indianapolis. Anyway, Mark Emmert, the NCAA president, announced the penalties against Penn State today. And he said they got to vacate all the victories. They didn't want the death penalty, which would have meant canceling the football season, because that would have penalized people who had nothing to do with what Sandusky did and what they say Paterno looked the other way and allowed to happen. So they're not going to cancel a season, but they're going to let any player that wants transfer with no penalty as long as he meets other requirements. So basically the message was they can't go to a bowl game for 4 years. They can't participate in any championship of any kind for 4 years. So the head coach, Bill O'Brien, I guess is a new head coach. He had a meeting with the team today. What does he use? How does he sell the team on the season? They can't go to what's it to play for? No, there are things. It's not the job he's got is pretty difficult. Can't go to a bowl game. Basically, all you can do is sell a great tradition of Penn State. What's that now? Maybe participate in the rebuilding of a great program that once was. But when you vacate all of the victories and then you tell the existing team that you can't go to a bowl game for 4 years and there's no championship for you, how are you not punishing the people that didn't have anything to do with it? $60 million fine is about what they say the Penn State football program generates every year. So they got to take that 1 year revenue of $60 million. They got to set up basically a charity for abused kids to deal with those who are and to prevent it from ever happening again. It's kind of like tobacco settlement, yeah. Yeah. Getting rid of Joe Camel really made the difference. But I'm just stuck here on the fact that they don't want to punish the players that had nothing to do with this by canceling the season. Yet they are punishing them in a way by telling them that nothing they do can result in a bowl game or a championship. Nothing they do can amount to anything other than playing football for the sake of which. I'm just asking a simple question, and maybe somebody's got the answer that I'm not thinking of. But I don't know how this isn't punishing the people that had nothing to do with it. This is guilt by association for the players that are currently playing that had nothing to do with it. And besides, to what extent, you want to vacate the victories that Paterno had. Okay, I understand that. But then, as mayor of Realville, another question emerges, and that is, well, how did what Sandusky did help them win? If you're going to vacate the victories because of what Sandusky did, what Paterno knew was going on to look the other way, then how did what happened there with Sandusky contribute to victories? And I don't think anybody would say that it did. So they had to come down. They had to come down hard. But no, I'm not. Look, it would be really easy to politicize this, but I'm not going to. I'm not. Oh, Snerdley, don't even want to go there. Doing this after Paterno has passed away, where he can't defend him. Yeah, but it's easy. But I don't want to try to politicize this. I mean, it would be very easy to call these, but I'm not going to. I just have these questions about it. I wonder how many players are now going to try to transfer out of there, since they've been told there's no. You go to Penn State because there's always a bowl game. You go to Penn State because it's a linebacker factory for the NFL. You go to Penn State because it has a pedigree You go there as opposed to other universities because it does go to bowl games, because it does contend for championships. It does contend for the national championship. It always is in the top 10, top 15. Now none of that can happen. And these guys chose Penn State because of Paterno or because whatever other reason. Now the NCAA is saying, what we've done here might make it seem like there's no reason anymore for you to be there. So if you want to transfer out, go ahead. And I think that's its own form of punishment, too. Obviously it is. Anyway, welcome back, folks. 800-282-2882. If you want to be on the program, the email address, lrushbo@eibnet.com. Look, they're going to ban football anyway because of concussions in our lifetime. So all this is academic. It's just a matter of time. That process is already in place. No, not with this ruling, not with the Penn State. I'm just saying football wide. Economic news. U.S. poverty on track to reach highest levels since the 1960s. From the AP, the ranks of America's poor are on track to climb to levels unseen in nearly 50 years. Erasing gains from the war on poverty in the 60s amid a weak economy and a fraying government hammock. Census, well, that's a hammock. It's a safety net, but we all know it's a hammock. Census figures for 2011 will be released this fall in the critical weeks ahead of the November elections. Now, folks, erasing gains from the war on poverty? There weren't really that many gains. One of the greatest things that happened to poverty was welfare reform with the work requirements, which were gutted last week by Barack Hussein Obama. The work requirements just stripped out of there by executive fiat. So what we have here is the AP putting out a new poverty report based on census figures that'll be released this fall in the critical weeks ahead of the November elections, which seems odd because you would think that that would be bad PR for Obama. But I think what they're doing, I think they're putting this out in time for the upcoming debt ceiling debate. Some people might dare to call for cuts to welfare spending. And so the AP probably thinks that all of this will help Obama. I mean, these are his voters, the people in poverty. More people in poverty equals more Obama voters. That's the way these people think. Don't forget Dan Balls in the New York Times. No, Thomas Edsall, New York Times last November. November 27, 2011, Thomas Edsall wrote a piece, said the Obama campaign had written off the non-college degreed white voter. White working class voters. Obama writing them off. Wasn't even going to try to campaign for them. So here we have a report on U.S. poverty on track to reach highest level since the 60s. They're going to try to turn this into a plus for Obama. Because remember, all this is Bush's fault. Obama hasn't been president for 3.5 years. The Obama campaign is as though he hadn't done anything yet. It's still a big mess that he was saddled with, that he had no idea how bad it was. Been working really, really hard to fix it, worse than anybody knew. You add to it, my God, look at poverty. It's bad. It's worse than oh my God. Poor Obama. But there are just more votes for him. And then here comes the debt ceiling debate. And they're going to say, well, can you cut spending? Look at the numbers in poverty. And Obama will be their big defenders. That's who his voting bloc is. People in poverty and similar economic circumstances. The AP claims that they have surveyed more than a dozen economists and think tanks and academics. And they found a broad consensus, just like in global warming. The official poverty rate will rise from 15.1% in 2010 to as high as 15.7%. And several of these eggheads predicted a more modest gain, but even a 0.1 percentage point increase would put poverty at its highest level since 1965, which actually isn't true, but that's too esoteric to go into that. So, U.S. poverty on track to reach highest level since the 1960s. And I think this is just a setup to create more voters for Obama. Why? I mean, why would the AP put out what would be bad news for Obama? They wouldn't. No way. So they're not thinking in the long haul that this is bad for Obama. They're going to try to turn it into a positive. Now you move on to thehill.com. A startling story. A story some of you may say you have been dreaming of. A story you might say you've been hoping to see all of these years. And the headline says it all. The Hill poll. Majority of voters blame president for bad economy. 2/3 of likely voters say the weak economy is Washington's fault, and more people blame Obama than anybody else, according to this new poll from The Hill. This poll found that 66% believe paltry job growth and slow economic recovery is the result of bad policy. 34% say Obama is the most to blame. 23% who say Congress is the culprit. 20% point the finger at Wall Street. Only 18% blame Bush. Only 18%. 34% say it's Obama. And thehill.com here says the results highlight the re-election challenge Obama faces amid dissatisfaction with his first-term performance on the economy. So according to this poll, the buck no longer stops with George W. Bush. It stops with President Kardashian. I want to see how they try to massage this. By the way, Thomas B. Edsall is back with a new column at the New York Times. The politics of anything goes. And what this story is about is Obama seeking to suppress the white blue-collar vote again. Barack Obama first captured the national spotlight with a speech at the 204 Democrat convention in Boston, in which he called for an end to the politics of division. The audience roared back its applause at the end of almost every line. Americans, Obama said, are one people, all of us pledging allegiance to the Stars and Stripes, all of us defending the U.S. In the end, that's what this election is about. Do we participate in a politics of cynicism, or do we participate in a politics of hope? That's 2004. And now, writes Thomas B. Edsall, now faced with a tough re-election fight, Obama has, in fundamental respects, adopted the strategy he denounced 8 years ago. He's running a two-track campaign. One track seeks to boost turnout among core liberal groups. The other aims to suppress turnout and minimize his margin of defeat in the most hostile segment of the electorate, whites without college degrees. This is the second Thomas B. Edsall column on this premise. The first one, again, November 27th, 2011, in which Edsall claimed the campaign had written off the non-college degreed white voter. This column is about how Obama's now going to try to suppress their vote. Yep, this approach assumes a highly polarized electorate and tries to make the best of it. On his campaign website, Obama singles out 16 specific target constituencies under groups. Some are listed because it would be politically damaging to fail to include them, such as people of faith, veterans and military families, rural Americans, seniors, small business operators. Look at, now I can read the whole thing. Here's what all you have to know. Edsall is not criticizing Obama for this. He does point out how it contradicts Obama's high-minded rhetoric in 2004, 2008. But he says, hey, Obama tried to create one America. He tried to unify us, but it didn't work. He doesn't specify why, but sadly, he tried. He tried to be the great unifier, tried to be post-partisan, post-racial, post-this, but it didn't work. And so now, since there's this highly polarized electorate out there, all our precious Obama can do is try to make the best of it. So see, it's not his fault. He wanted to unify everybody, but he didn't. So now, not his fault. He tried. Now we got this divided electorate, and Obama's got no choice but to suppress the voters that don't like him. He's got to find a way to demoralize them. He's got to find a way to make sure that they don't vote. Got to find a way to make it so that they have no desire to vote. He's got to make it appear hopeless. They have to give up. He has to make it appear hopeless that the people who oppose Obama can win. That's what he has to do. And what does that mean? It means that Edsel is fully supportive of this. Obama now, as a campaign tactic, has to go out and try to poison the blue-collar white vote about Romney. And how are they doing that? Folks, they are spending a fortune trying to convince these people that Romney hates them. They are trying to suppress the non-college educated white vote. They're trying to convince them that Romney hates them, that he sneers at them, that he looks down his nose at them, that he resents them, hates them. He doesn't have any use for them. That's the tone of Obama's campaign where these voters are concerned. He's trying to take all their hope away. He's trying to tell them they have no chance. They're defeated. You may as well not even show up and vote. You don't have a chance. So that's quite a leap from November 2011 saying, well, we've lost these people. We're not going to campaign for them. Now we're going to do everything we can to depress them. And this is written of as though it's a brilliant campaign tactic because it deals with the reality of what is. And Obama is very, very smart to do this. They want you people who are white, who don't have college degrees, to hate Romney so much that you'll just stay home, sit on your hands, because you don't think it'll matter anyway. Back after this.